think it's no secret that I absolutely love the Herbie movies. At least, I don't think it's any. Is it a secret? And back in the day, a lot of people also loved the Herbie movies. In fact, the highest grossing film of 1969 was The Love Bug. So logically, other companies decided they wanted to cash in on this craze over living VWs. And today, I'm going to be talking about one of these movies. One of 3 of which I will refer to as the Radar movies. Now, I know that he's also called Plotty the Police Car in some versions, but come on, which one sounds better? Plotty the Police Car or Radar the Police Car? You know what I mean? I believe that there are at least 3 Radar movies, and I think there was a TV show too. However, I will only be discussing the second movie for this video. And why is that, you may ask? Well, the first movie isn't available in my country, and it's not in a language I understand even if it was. And second, I don't know where I can watch the third movie as of currently. So buckle up, y'allskis, this is going to be a pretty wild ride. Janky intro! The second movie in the Radar movies. Police Patrol. So we open with a super bad storm. You know, lots of thunder, crazy wind, the works. Then the power goes out. GG. And it's especially bad because a ship is going to crash because they can't see anything. Then we're introduced to Herbie. Then we're introduced to Radar, a 1973 Super Beetle. I came to that assumption based on his stubby proportions, style of bumpers, taillights, deck lid, and front fenders. But those could just also be design choices, I don't really know. And he has like this giant extension cord or something. And we also quickly notice a big difference between Herbie and Radar already. Radar has the ability to talk.
Here I am! I brought the spare cable you needed!
Oh, so it was an electric cable. Got it. So this guy... Also, there's this guy called Richard, but we're going to be calling him Uncle Richard because that's what he's referred to as by Radar, so whatever. So he, calls Radar and he's like, be careful because it's dangerous, yada yada yada, and he's like, I'm always careful. Okay. Then he keeps going up the mountain or whatever. Wait, so it was an extension cord? Anyway, the power is restored and everything is fine now. Oh, and then Radar gets electrocuted by the fallen cable and dies. Which is kind of funny since he ran over it with his tires, so wouldn't he be completely fine? I mean, I don't know anything about anything, but whatever. Anyway, then these 3 people, carry him to, I'm assuming, a mechanic? It only took 3 guys to carry him, too. Come on. In the Love Bug, they had, at least a dozen guys. Can you at least try to make it believable? So this doctor guy thing whips out a stethoscope and declares that Radar's engine is burnt out. But did you even try starting him? And Uncle Richard's like, you're lying, he's gonna be okay. And as someone who's very close with someone who works in the medical field, it's actually really irritating when people are like, oh, you're lying. No, they aren't. Seriously, dude, you're not gonna trust the licensed autobiologist? Come on now.
I'm sorry, but it looks like he's had a deadly dose of high voltage.
Dude, never say anything again. Please. So Radar's alive, just kind of tired, and he's electric now. So everyone's happy because Radar is alive! Let's go! And he got promoted to, special investigator, which is really interesting since he didn't investigate anything just now, but whatever. And then the chief changes his mind because Radar's electric. Dude, what is wrong with you? These are the villains, by the way. Anyway, Radar is fishing apparently, and he's really bored.
Somebody call the ambulance.
So Uncle Richard decides to take his bike to go investigate something, even though Radar is right here. I mean, sure, he's not an active police officer right now, but he's still a car. So why don't you just take Radar, huh? Also, this is Dottie. Radar claims that he can drive faster than Dottie can swim, so they have a race, and the loser has to eat a worm. So Radar uses the racing skills his cousin showed him, and he's doing really well, but then he tries to do a cool trick and absolutely botches it. So Dottie wins, and she's bragging about it to Radar as he's about to die of drowning. So Dottie tries to push him out, but it doesn't go well. At all.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Try now. Try it.
But then Radar fully sinks and dies. Oh, wait, never mind. The tide went out and Dottie's back. So Radar's like, well, that's really weird. Why is the water disappearing by itself? So then Radar heads back into town to go find another officer. And then Uncle Richard pulls up in this weird giant truck jeep thingy.
What are you doing in that? It's an environmental hazard.
You got room to talk! So Radar goes Herbie mode again, and he's kind of jealous that the chief seems to like this new non-sentient car a lot more than him. Then Radar informs Uncle Richard of the current situation, and Richard even suggests that Radar should be allowed to investigate. So they decide that they should do a test to see if Radar can handle it. So Radar fails, and he's depressed because he thinks he can't be a police car anymore because he sucks. So he goes back to the pond and vents to Dottie, and she gets sucked into this giant whirlpool thingy. Then Radar thinks about his life for a solid 26 seconds before deciding that there might be a cave somewhere. And apparently the whirlpool led to this giant water bottle making machine inside a cave. And Radar's e-brake wasn't connected to something, so he falls down, but he's okay, and Dottie escapes the weird water bottle machine and the bad guys. So then Radar goes into the cave to investigate, and he's like, nah, this is weird, I'm gonna go chase the water thieves. So Radar's doing an unofficial stakeout, and he uses his police radio to contact Uncle Richard to come and arrest the bad guys.
Radar calling. Over.
Hello, Radar. Where are you? Uncle Richard reading you loud and clear.
Shh. 2 hardened water thieves are trying to get away. Over.
So he comes, and so does this chief, and they aren't convinced. But like, why doesn't Radar just show them the cave? It might not be hard evidence that they're doing anything illegal necessarily, but at the very least it could get them thinking. So Uncle Richard is washing Radar indoors, of all places, and the chief realizes that Radar was investigating, so he's ticked off.
But I know they're water thieves. I'd stake my bonus on it.
I'd rather you didn't. A scratch on your paintwork, Radar. A scratch on your paintwork.
Oh no, there's nothing worse than scratched paintwork.
I think he just meant that you were going to be reprimanded.
There's no water left either. And by the way, I'm sorry, but this is bothering me. Radar is a beetle. There is nothing on a beetle that requires a wrench this big. What the flip is this for? So Radar goes back to the pond, and there's like literally no water left. Like, at all. So Dottie and Radar put all the fish in buckets for the time being. The next day, there's like this major heat wave, and the Badger Brothers, aka the bad guys, have jacked up their prices a ton because of supply and demand.
Listen, everyone, don't pay for the water. It's ours after all. They stole
We're
it.
not going to pay.
Paying for that?
We're not going to pay for the water. It's free.
All the coolest people always drink water from designer bottles.
What?
But it has to be Badger's designer water.
Since that obviously didn't work, Radar is upset and goes back to the pond and tells Dottie she might as well start eating the fish because it's no use. And there's like a giant drain plug type of thing that someone leaves at the pond. So then Radar tells Dottie to save the fish, but the water starts rising. Like, a lot. Really fast, too. Then Radar contacts the chief, and after he says he'll bring his new car, Radar's like, flip it, I can handle this myself. And then he dives into the water. So then Dottie teaches Radar how to swim. He flips upside down a lot, but eventually he gets the hang of it. So then Radar's having fun using his new skill, but when he bumps into a dam that wasn't there previously, he sees that it's actually dangerous and races back to the town to warn everyone.
You need to leave before it's too late. Are you listening to me?
Troublemaker! Prophet of Doom!
But it's true.
I'm sorry, but that was just hilarious. Anyway, even after being told that, everyone is convinced that the literal police car is lying, so they don't care and ignore him. Same for the chief and Uncle Richard. Then Radar's Herbie instincts kick in, and he asks to race the chief and Uncle Richard to the dam, which they agree to do. Then Radar starts yelling what are presumably car curse words. I don't know, man.
Blast it! What a stinky, idiotic, anti-environmental heap of junk! Garage terrorists! Gas guzzler of the worst kind!
Then Radar decides to take a shortcut. After Uncle Richard and the chief are able to rescue Radar, Radar suggests that since they're already there, that they should investigate the dam. So they do, and so does Radar. From a distance, anyway. And he realizes that the dam's been painted over, which he thinks is pretty dadgum sus. But the Badger Brothers are all like, well, you can't investigate the dam because you aren't dam experts. So then Dottie and Radar realize that they've been putting tape over the cracks in the dam, so Radar decides to take pictures. But then the Badger Brothers pull out the Uno reverse card and take pictures of Dottie and Radar so that they can make it look like they were tampering with the dam. And the chief decides to believe the Badger Brothers over Radar, so Radar is forced to quit the police force and runs away. Uncle Richard also went to investigate the dam some more, and he realizes, oh crap, Radar is right, we are all dead. After contemplating his life for probably like 2 hours. Radar's like, you know what? I'm gonna go back because everyone's gonna die if I don't do something. But unfortunately, he gets kidnapped. But then Uncle Richard is able to find the cave and he's able to rescue Radar and they escape. The Badger brothers are chasing them though. Also, something I forgot to mention, throughout the whole movie, there's mention of like the princess arriving soon. So everyone was basically on a major time crunch and she finally arrives. Then major pieces start breaking off the dam and they're all like, oh, Radar was right. Yeah, we're dead. And the chief gives Uncle Richard permission to arrest the Badger brothers. So the bad guys get on a boat and start paddling away, and Radar tries to go after them because, well, he can swim now, but the dam starts breaking even more and he's about to fall. So then Radar does the most logical thing he could possibly do in this situation. He tells Dottie to tie a rope around the drain plug and goes bungee jumping. Then the Badger brothers get sucked into the whirlpool, which screws up the water bottle machine, and then Radar falls to his death. But he can swim, so it's all good. However, unfortunately, the town is flooded. So Radar saves all the townspeople from getting their shoes wet, including the princess. Sweet. So after that's all over, Radar has been hired back at the police force and he's a special, environmentally friendly police car now. And the movie basically ends with him going to the harbor because of some environmental hazard. This movie is fine, I guess? Yeah, no, this movie low-key kind of sucks. But that's okay. I love it anyway. And I am a firm believer that just because something sucks doesn't mean you can't like it, and just because something's good doesn't mean you have to like it either. Yeah, so I saw this movie when it first came on Netflix way back in the day. And I watched it, like, a lot. I actually drew Radar before I ever drew Herbie. But as much as I like the movie, there are very, 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 very many problems with it. Minor and major. First of all, every now and then, some of the dialogue just feels super duper weird and unnatural.
No, it's as silent as a car graveyard.
Oh, that would be impossible.
Why not?
Why not?
How does that make any sense? Genuinely. Most of the time, the animation is pretty acceptable for what I think was an independent company. And even if it's not, I'm pretty sure it was animated in the late 2000s, so I'm sure people were still getting the hang of it. But then sometimes I feel like it just looks really goofy. Also, I don't really understand too much why they decided to make Radar electric. I know that electric beetles are kind of a thing now, but I don't know. Personally, I think the engine sound of a beetle kind of gives it more character, but I don't necessarily hate the fact they made Radar electric or anything. But I do think they could have come up with a more clever idea to make Radar seem impaired in some way, but they decided on making him electric, I guess. Speaking of making Radar electric, the environmentalist themes are very interesting. If I'm being real, I didn't really care that much until this is said at the end of the movie.
What do you think, Radar? Special environmentally friendly police car?
Special? Environmental?
Yep. You've been promoted, Radar, because you're silent, run on electricity, and don't pollute.
Like, I think it's just a little overkill, you know what I mean? Not to mention, using a VW bug for an environmentalist message probably isn't the best vessel for that. And once again, I don't have anything necessarily against the environmental message in general. I liked how they had it in there and they were keeping it subtle. I don't like how it just full-on punches you in the face at the end. But hey, I didn't watch the original show or see the movie before this one, so maybe that kind of stuff is normal. I don't know. Also, how come at random times does it feel like Radar is acting so aggressive?
But the chief constable said you...
Always the chief with you. I'll have to do it myself.
Drive on, Richard.
Yes, that's right, Richard. You just drive.
But Radar, the chief constable is in charge.
After all, it is so nice and big.
And what's with this really awkward on and off friendship with Uncle Richard? Now, I think we're supposed to believe that they're longtime pals, but like...
Uncle Richard, we need each other now like never before.
We must stop these water thieves.
Yes, together, and save the town.
Shh, Radar, you're sparking.
Shh, yourself. I'm not doing it on purpose.
Please try to stop it. It happens every time you get excited and hiccup and...
It isn't easy, you know.
Or get angry.
It's good to be electric. And to be completely silent, compared to a certain loudmouth policeman I know.
Loudmouth? Me?
Yes, but shh.
Yes, but shh yourself.
And why does the chief seem to hate Radar so much for literally no reason? He's always looking for ways to put him down, but like, I don't get it. Why? Has Radar ever failed him before? I don't even know. But there's some good stuff, like this shot looks pretty good, for example. The score isn't that bad, and some of the comedy is funny.
That's an order. I've made the decision for you.
Oh, I can't believe it.
A talking car under a tent? That's cool.
Yeah, it sure is, Dottie. Call me the Dark Avenger.
Yes, and then I'll be Dottie the Otter.
Wouldn't you prefer a cooler name?
There are no cooler names.
But compared to the Herbie movies, is this movie just a soulless ripoff of them? I'm gonna have to say no, personally. I do think that heavy inspiration was taken from Herbie as far as the design of Radar goes, but other than that, I feel like this movie's really its own thing. So, would you like this movie? If you're over the age of 6, definitely not. And if you're a Herbie fan, would you like this movie? I mean, maybe? I think there's a higher chance you'd like it if you're a Herbie fan, but the chances are still pretty low. And is there anything that parents should be concerned about? I'm gonna have to say no on this one, but there's one thing that, like, maybe when Radar is electrocuted, but we find out he's fine in, like, less than 2 minutes later, and that never really bothered me when I was little. Overall, yes, this movie is pretty bad in general, but I do think it's a good kids movie. But I still love it because I don't really know, but I do. And besides, I don't think this movie is as weird as the one that came after that I might do a review on someday. Major emphasis on the might, though, because hey, you know what happens when I promise sequels, you know what I mean? And with that, it's been real, and I'll see you next